So here's the question that we have to answer. What is the starting point of building wealth? I mean, your paycheck is good, but it's done as much for you as it's going to be able to do. So if this is a question that you've been trying to figure out the answer to, stay tuned because I have the number one foundational wealth building tip that can revolutionize your life. What's going on, y'all? J. Rod Anderson here. Welcome to the Path to Financial Independence channel, where my mission is to simply empower you to create your own path to financial independence and to share with you some quick and actionable steps that you can take that'll move you just one step closer to becoming financially independent. As always, let me tell you this: I'm not a financial advisor, and I am not giving you financial advice. So please do your own due diligence, do your own research, fact check everything that I say, and if need be, please employ the services of a financial advisor that can advise you on the particulars of your financial situation. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, look, regardless of where you are in your financial situation, whether you're just getting started or you're that person who living paycheck to paycheck, or you could be knee deep in debt, or you could just be that person who, you're doing well, you got a good paying job, but you're kind of still stuck in that status quo area and you're trying to break out and find the key to actually get into a place of wealth and financial independence. Or you could already be that person who made it to financial independence and you're doing pretty well. You could be a millionaire or even a billionaire. Listen, it doesn't matter where you are, but regardless of where you are, there's one thing that we all need wherever we may be on our wealth journey or on our way to being financially independent. And that one thing that we all need is wisdom. So look, it doesn't matter whether you're trying to get wealth, keep wealth, or grow your wealth, wisdom is going to be a key component in helping you. So let's take a deep dive into wisdom and let's really look at it in terms of why is it such an important wealth key and how can it help you move the needle forward in your life. So here's the deal. No matter where you are on your financial journey, look, you're going to need some wisdom. If you're sitting here and you're trying to figure out how am I going to make some more money so I can try to get ahead in life, you're going to need wisdom. Even if you got good money coming in, you may not know how to manage it well, and it just ends up leaving you spending it on something crazy and you don't even know where's my money going. Guess what you need? You're going to need some wisdom. Or you could already be in a place where you have wealth and you're doing really well for yourself. Now you're trying to figure out, how am I going to keep this and how am I going to cause it to grow and continue to increase and multiply? Guess what you're going to need? You're going to need some wisdom. So, wisdom is one of those things. It sounds cliche-ish, like, yeah, you need wisdom, but what does that really mean? So let's take a look at why wisdom is so important. So let me tell you this, the first thing that you need wisdom for is to help you as it pertains to your relationship with money. What do I mean by that? There's a integral interplay and fellowship between you and your money. Like every part of you is impacted on how you relate to money. Well, let me give you some examples here. So number one, let's consider your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes, your programming, your upbringing, and your beliefs. All of these different things, they influence how you relate to money, and guess what? It influences how money relates to you. So you could have been raised thinking, well, money don't grow on trees, or you could have been that person who uses retail therapy. It's like, when I feel a certain way, then I need to spend some money to help me feel better. Or your programming could be that, man, are we going to be broke for the rest of our lives? And that's just, we as a race of people, we just always gonna have to work twice as hard and we gonna have to struggle. All of that stuff, all of that programming, all of those things that you were taught all of the things that you saw as you were growing up, they influence how you relate to money. And so guess what? So let's go. You have your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes, your programming, your upbringing, and your beliefs. So those things then in turn impact, listen to this, they impact how you earn money, they impact how you spend money, they impact how you save money, they impact whether you covet money or not, they impact whether you have a fear of money or maybe a fear of running out of money, they impact how you borrow money, and it impacts how you invest money and even speak about money. So do you see the interplay? So now it's another level deeper. And so you think you just have a money problem, but no, it goes much deeper than I have money issues, I need more money. No, you need to work on your thoughts and your beliefs and your attitudes and your upbringing, because those things have you spending more than you are bringing in, or they could have you in the place where you don't think that you can make money any other type of way than working on a 9-to-5. I mean, you don't even think about, hey man, maybe there's a way that I can invest this money and cause it to grow. So your programming has you believing that if I don't get money from this particular way or this particular avenue, there's no other way for me to earn money. So let's talk about saving money. All of this stuff is impacted by who you are to your core. So I know this is something that I dealt with. I know when I was growing up, I used to see my mom and my dad fight over money a lot. And so my thing was, well, number one, I don't ever want to be in a place where I don't have enough money to take care of my basic needs. And so I became a real extreme saver. It's like I didn't want to let my money go because I needed to hold on to it, because I was afraid that if I didn't have enough money in the bank, then hey, I was going to have to go without, or I was going to have to suffer need in a particular area. And so I became real overzealous where saving was concerned. And so guess what? That was as a result of some of the things that I saw where I was growing up. You may be on the other extreme of that. So your thing may be just like, well, you know what? You only live this way once. And so I'm not going to worry about saving a whole bunch of money. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to spend my money. If I want to go shopping, I'm going to go shopping. Hey, so that could be your story. Somebody else's story may be, you know what? I have a fear of money. I don't, you've heard people like, now, I want just enough money. I don't want too much money now, because as you know, money is the root of all evil. That's not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil, but we'll talk about that in a later video. So you could be in that place where you have a fear of having too much, and you think like, well, if I get too much money, then all of my neighbors and cousins and all of these people that I never really had a relationship with, they're going to start calling me and asking me for money. Listen, so do you see the interplay in all of this? Now, there's one more level to all of this. So remember, on the first level, you had your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. That impacts the second level, how you earn money, spend money, save money, borrow money, etc. And then on the third layer, and this is where it all comes together, all of these things collectively, they impact what I call the big eight. And the big eight are the factors that determine your financial status in life. So what are the big eight? You want to make sure you capture these. The big eight are these. Number 1 and 2 is income and expenses. So your status financially in life is going to be determined by what do you have coming in and what do you have going out. That's the first two. The second two are your assets and your liabilities. I love the way Robert Kiyosaki defines it. He says assets are things that bring money in. Liabilities are things that take money out or cause you to have to spend money on something. So if it's taking money out of your pocket, it's a liability. If it's bringing money into your pocket, it's an asset. Those are the next two. The next two, number 5 and 6, is cash flow and debt. So how's your cash flowing? Like, how many sources of cash do you have flowing? How many times a month or how many times a week do you have money coming in? Do you have money coming in once a month? Do you have money coming in every 2 weeks? Do you get paid every week? Maybe you have a business. You could have something that's coming in every day. But how is your cash flowing, number one, and what is the source? Who's controlling the source of your cash flow? That's very important. Do you control it or does somebody else control it? For most people, their cash flow is controlled by their job. And I'm going to tell you, whoever controls your cash flow, they control some other things too. So cash flow and your debt. How much debt are you in? So I need you all to take time to really go back and look at these areas and attach some numbers to your income, attach some numbers to your expenses, attach some numbers to your assets and liabilities, attach some numbers to your cash flow and debt. And the last two, attach some numbers to your savings and your investments. So all of these things determine your financial status in life. So can you see why it's not simply just a matter of, hey, if you want to build wealth, you need to bring in more money. Or if you want to improve your financial situation, you need money. That's a very small piece of the equation. You need to work on your mindset, your thoughts and your beliefs, your programming and your upbringing, so it won't negatively impact how you spend money, earn money, borrow money, think about money, whether you fear money. And if you get that right, then you get to a place where your numbers are going to start to work for you instead of against you. You're going to figure out, how am I going to break these income limits? How am I going to minimize my expenses? How am I going to eliminate this debt? How am I going to increase my streams of cash flow so I'm not dependent upon this one job in case, something happens and they decide that they want to fire me? So do you see how all of this stuff requires wisdom? That's why wisdom is so, so very important. So let me go back and talk to you a little bit about why your cash flow is so important. Let me tell you a quick story. So I remember when I got my second career job as a school social worker. I was working in the school system, and when I first started, I used to get like 2 whole months off for the summer. I was ecstatic, man. Like, I could go work during the year and have 2 months to go and ball out and do whatever I wanted to do. Well, that went on for about my first 3 or 4 years at the job. And then, you know what? I got a promotion and I got a title of a director. And so in my mind, I'm still thinking, hey, I'm gonna still get my 2 months off. Well, it so happened that the year that before I was going to get the promotion, like I knew I was going to have it for the following school year. I was slated to get married that summer, and I can remember July 21st. So, me and my wife-to-be, we had already set the date, and we already had the venue, had everything planned out. So my supervisor came in, she said, with your promotion or your new position, you're going to need to be an 11-month employee. So I was like, okay. It's like, what does that mean? Like, okay, well, you're going to have to come to work, back to work in mid-July. So I was like, can't do that. And it was like, no, you have to come back to work in July. And that's when your contract starts. And I was just like, I can't do that because I'm getting married in July and I already have a date set. So do you know that we literally went back and forth until I think she really realized that I cannot come back to work in July next year because I'm getting married. And so, she relented and let me come back, a little bit later. But guess what? The next summer, guess when I went back to work? I went back to work in July. So I started working an 11-month contract. And then the following year, it went from an 11-month contract to a 12-month. So I only had a couple of weeks that I got off throughout the school year as opposed to having my summer. So why did I tell you that story? Because whoever controls your cash flow, or whoever owns the source of your cash flow, they have the right to have a certain level of control over your time and over your money. And so because this job was paying my salary, they had control over my time. And so if they wanted me to come in a couple of weeks earlier, because they controlled my cash flow, they had a right to control a level of my time. So on this whole journey to financial independence, that's why I'm really challenging you to create your own path to financial independence. And I want you to go down this checklist, and I want you to ask yourself, how many of these different areas are you in control of, or how many of these areas are controlled by an outside entity? So let's go back. Your income. How much control do you have over your income? Expenses, take a look at that. Like, where the majority of your expenses coming from? Do you have a lot of debt? So that means like they're your expenses, but you having to pay someone else. Your assets and your liabilities, your cash flow, your savings and your investments. Do you have active control over these areas? If you're not, then guess what? Somebody else has control over the very core areas of your life. And I wrote a book called Breaking Out of the Unfulfillment Trap. And one of the things that I talked about in it, and you can download a free copy of it. I'll put the link to it in the description. But one of the things that I talk about in that book was that the reason why so many people are unfulfilled and frustrated in their jobs, in their lives, and in their finances is because they have so little control over it. Somebody's controlling your cash flow. They control how much you make. They control how often you get paid. They determine if you get a raise. They determine if you get a demotion. So these things impact your very livelihood, but you have little control over it. So guess what? You're going to be a little bit frustrated and unfulfilled. So that's why I'm challenging you. You have to take the wheel back of your life and get control over these areas so you can carve out your own path to financial independence. But guess what it's going to require for you to do that? Go ahead and say it. Yep, it's going to require wisdom. So now, what happens in the absence of wisdom? Especially, I'm talking specifically in the area of finances and wealth creation. In the absence of wisdom, this is where somebody usually ends up. You have more money than month. Why? Because you're deficient in wisdom on how to generate more income. So you may think like, okay, well, I have to limit my lifestyle to what I'm making on this job or what my salary is. Guess what? You're deficient in wisdom on how to generate more income. Usually, if you're lacking wisdom, you're going to be in debt. Why? That's a simple wisdom key. If you spend more, if you got more coming, more going out than you have coming in, eventually you're going to get in debt. You're going to have no emergency fund or little emergency funds. You're not going to have a whole lot saved for retirement. You're going to be in a whole lot of financial stress and worry. You're going to spend the majority of your life just stressed out about money issues. And here's the point that I'm trying to get you to understand. On the surface, it may seem like money issue, but if you go down those layers that we talked about again, if you go down a little bit deeper, it's not a money issue. It's something more so to deal with you. And at the core, you're deficient in wisdom in a certain area where that's concerned. Here again, it could be due to your upbringing or past experiences, or it could just be just the thoughts and the attitudes that you were surrounded by where money was concerned when you're growing up. So financial stress and worry, shame and guilt. So it's just like you have a level of shame and guilt because you're grown and you don't have enough money to take care of your basic needs or to supply or to care for your family like you want to. Food and money management issues. Poor money management issues. So when you lack wisdom, you may have a lot of money coming in, but you blowing it on crazy stuff and you don't have anything to show for it. So these are the consequences and the repercussions that come when you're lacking or deficient in wisdom. So I hope you all are starting to really understand why it's so much more than just, I need more money. It's like, no, I need wisdom. So these financial conditions, they come as a result of a lack of wisdom, not a lack of finances. Let me say that again. Financial conditions that I talk about, they come about due to a lack of wisdom, not a lack of finances. So that's why I'm challenging you to start accumulating more wisdom instead of just focusing on trying to get more money. So now let's go on to define what wisdom is. I don't want to take for granted that you understand or that you even know exactly what wisdom is. Sure, you hear it all the time and you may use it a whole lot, but you still may have no clue. If I ask you to define wisdom right now, what would you say? So leave that down in the chats. It's like, how would you define wisdom? I'm just curious to know. But for the purpose of what I'm sharing with you, let me give you a very precise definition of wisdom that I looked up. Okay, so what is wisdom? Wisdom is the right use, exercise, or application of knowledge toward a noteworthy end. All right, let me say that again. It's the right use, the exercise, or application of knowledge toward a noteworthy end. Another definition is it's the application of knowledge, experience, and good judgment to achieve a worthy, excellent, and exemplary end. Man, that's such a good definition. But let's break it down. Let's break it down. So, what are the component parts of wisdom based on this definition? Number one, you have to have a noteworthy end. So, in other words, what do you need wisdom for? Like, what area, what's the noteworthy end that you need wisdom to accomplish? So you see, the problem with a lot of people is that they're just going through the motions. There's no noteworthy end. And so if you don't have a specific noteworthy end, like, what do you need wisdom for? Because you're just going through the motions. So I want to challenge you, even in the area of your finances, what's the noteworthy end that you're trying to get to or achieve? If you don't know, hey, this whole channel that I created is about having financial independence as your noteworthy end. Mind you, I didn't say retirement. I said financial independence. That's a noteworthy end that you have to create for yourself. Now, the default system, society, they already pretty much just put you on the path and say, okay, your end is going to be retirement. But that requires no thought on your part because that whole life has already been planned out for you. So number one component is a noteworthy end. Number two is knowledge, experience, and good judgment to achieve that end. So it's great to have a noteworthy end, but how are you going to get to that noteworthy end? It's just like, you going on vacation and you're going to take a trip and, you say, hey, I'm going to go to Dubai, and you don't have no means to get there. You don't know how you're going to get there. You don't have knowledge of, you might be thinking in your mind, well, I'm going to go and drive to Dubai. You not driving to Dubai. But you see why you have to have the proper knowledge. So you have a noteworthy end, but now you need the knowledge and experience and the good judgment. Getting in the car and try to drive to Dubai, that's not good judgment. So that's component number two, knowledge, experience, and good judgment to achieve the end. And number three, the application and execution of such knowledge or experience. Now this one is so big because a lot of people sometimes they might use wisdom and knowledge interchangeably. They're not the same thing, okay? The application part is what makes wisdom distinct from knowledge. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. So you can go and accumulate a whole lot of information. You can watch all my videos and you can do all of your research. You accumulate a whole bunch of knowledge, but it doesn't translate into wisdom until you apply it or do something with it. That's where a lot of people get stuck at. I mean, Some of the things I may be sharing with you, you may be like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. I saw such and such talk about that on their channel. Yeah, but wisdom says you're applying that knowledge toward a noteworthy end. Do you have a noteworthy end? If not, then what do you need knowledge for? What do you need wisdom for? So I really want to challenge you. Don't just hear this information that I'm sharing with you. Don't take it as just knowledge. I want you to take it as wisdom. And what's going to make wisdom is the application of the knowledge that you're getting. All right. I hope y'all getting this, man. I'm dropping some good nuggets for you all. So let's move on. So we defined wisdom and we broke down the core components of wisdom. Now, this is going to be so good. I want to share with you a core function of wisdom and money. A core function of wisdom and money. And this can be found in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 12. I love to just pick truths out of scripture, because I mean, all the answers and wisdom that we need is somewhere in that Bible. I mean, but not to get too deep with that. But let's look at Ecclesiastes 7:12. Okay, so now that we've defined what wisdom is and we looked at the core components of wisdom, now I want to share with you one of the core functions of wisdom and money. And you can find this. This is one of my favorite scriptures in Ecclesiastes 7:12. Listen to this. This is so profound. It says, "For wisdom is a defense, even as money is a defense." Isn't that interesting? So these both are playing a similar role of being a defense. For wisdom is a defense, even as money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him that has it. So let me read another translation so you can gain a better concept of what it's saying. Listen to this. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, but only wisdom can save your life. That's good. And then another translation says, double protection, wisdom, and wealth. Yeah. Oh, get that. Double protection, wisdom, and wealth. I don't know why people have issues with money and wealth, because it's a form of protection. Let me not get ahead of myself though. So let's define this. Wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. All right. So let's define defense in the context of the scripture. Defense is a level of security, protection, used to guard, secure, fortify, and preserve from attack, loss, injury, and death. Come on now. Let me say that again. Let me say that for those who didn't get it. Defense is a level, and keep in mind, what did they equate as being a defense? Wisdom and money. Wisdom and money are a defense. They are a level of security, protection, used to guard, secure, fortify, and preserve from attack, loss, injury, and death. Oh, that's powerful. So let's look at this. So think about this. Wisdom is a defense, and money can be a defense against bad health. Wisdom and money can work together to teach you. Wisdom will tell you this is what you need to eat to take care of your body. Money is okay. I'm the means to go and get it. Now, let me be real with y'all. For those of y'all who struggle with money or having plenty of wealth because of something that you might have been, raised or taught, listen. You can't go to the store. You can't go to Whole Foods and get a whole bunch of healthy foods and supplements and go to the checkout line and say, I'm going to pay with wisdom. Some people are going to look at you like you fool. You hear what I'm saying? So do you see why they're both so important? You can't use wisdom as an exchange that requires money? What if your employer said, okay, starting this Friday, we're going to start paying you all in wisdom? How would you feel about that? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand both of them are necessary to form a level of protection in your life. Having a place to stay, that's a defense, but it requires wisdom to say, I'm going to choose the right place to stay in, but it requires money to be able to afford to stay there. So do you see why having an abundance of wisdom is so important? Now, you may be okay with that, but some people may quiver a little bit when you say having an abundance of money is just as important as having an abundance of wisdom. So, wisdom and wealth, that's the title of this, Wisdom for Wealth. They both serve as a defense in your life to help guard and protect and preserve you from attack, loss, injury, and death. Now, don't go to the extreme and think like, okay, well, I can just have money. No, there's another scripture that says the prosperity of the fool will destroy him. So you get a whole lot of money and you don't have wisdom to temper how you engage and relate to that money can literally destroy you if you don't have wisdom on how to maintain it. I mean, just think of some of the famous stars that I've heard, MC Hammer and Mike Tyson, who've had millions and they lost it because they didn't have wisdom. So do you see why both of these are equally important? So I want you all to go back and look at that scripture. Wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. That's so powerful, man. That's why you need wisdom for wealth. All right, let's go ahead and I got one more thing I want to share with you. So where can I get wisdom from? Well, I'm going to give you 3 areas real quick where you can get wisdom from. Number one, you can get wisdom from experiences. So a lot of times they say experience is the best teacher. Sometimes, though, it may be some things that you don't quite want to have to experience. But experience can engender a level of wisdom in your life. Number 2, you can get wisdom from other people and their experiences. So I love to talk to older people just because they've been around and they've experienced so much, and the things that they've experienced now can be shared with you from a level of their wisdom because they've applied it. It's not wisdom for you until you apply it. So let me kind of be clear with that. So you can get other people's wisdom, but it doesn't become wisdom for you until you apply it to your life. And then the last place, my favorite place to get wisdom from is God. And, everybody have their different beliefs, whatever God is for you. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, all of that. But in James chapter 1, verse 5, and I'm not going to go there. You can go and read it, but listen to this. And this was so profound as I was putting this stuff together when I went and looked at the scripture. It says, if any of you lack, I want you to stop right there. If any of you lack wisdom. And so what came to mind when I read that? That's really the only thing that you lack when you think about it, because if you have the wisdom in a certain area, it can take care of that lack. So let's suppose, you're short on money, or you're thinking like, man, my finances, like how Romy Rome said it, my money is funny and my credit just won't get it. Well, guess what? That's a wisdom issue. But it says, if any of you lack wisdom, ask God. So really the only lack that you have is a lack where wisdom is concerned, because once you get the wisdom and you apply it, it's going to take care of the lack. So listen, don't make this too deep. If you need wisdom, go to God, your higher power, whatever, that may be for you, and just like, hey, I need wisdom in this particular area. All right, so I hope you all got some value from this lesson today. I had a whole lot of fun sharing it with you. So every video, I give you 3 action steps that you can take designed to move you one step closer on your journey to financial independence. So this is what I want you to do. So these are your 3 action steps from this video. So number 1, I want you to answer this question. What financial areas in your life do you need more wisdom for? Write these down. So action step number 1, identify what areas, financial areas, you need more wisdom in, and I want you to write these down. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, I then want you to ask God or your higher power for wisdom in these particular areas. Now, the scripture that I shared with you, it said, if any of you lack wisdom, ask God. And it said that he would give it to you. It just says that if you're going to ask in faith and believe that he's going to give it to you. So I don't know what your source of wisdom is, but for those of you who believe like I do, I have a guarantee that if I ask for wisdom, he's going to grant it to me. I just have to ask with a level of confidence that, hey, because I asked for it, he's going to grant it to me. Now, it may not show up immediately, but I'm going to tell you all a quick story and then I'm going to go to let you all give you a real life example of how this actually looks. So I had a debt that I wanted to pay off, and it was a couple of $1,000s, maybe $4,000. And I didn't want to carry it out a whole year, just, making small payments and having to take months. So I was just like, okay, how can I get this debt paid off in half the time? And so using what I'm sharing with you now, I said, okay, God, I know that there's wisdom for this particular situation. Give me wisdom on how I can pay this debt off in half the time. And so asked, and I just said, I believe I received it. I thank you for the wisdom for it. And at some point, it'll catch up with my understanding, and I'll know exactly what action I need to take based off of the knowledge or information that I get. So I don't know if I was meditating or I was doing something, and the thought came to mind, just like, that insurance policy that you have? And I thought about it, and it came in my mind just as clear as day. I had a cash value of a couple of $1,000s in there. Take the $1,000, or take $5,000 out of there and put it in this investment, and this investment will yield a higher return each week. And you can take that return and then pay the debt off, and you can add it to whatever you was paying on it before, and then you can just put the money back into the insurance policy where I got it from. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that is so good. So that's what I did. So I took a couple of $1,000s out, I put it in an investment vehicle. It yielded a higher weekly return. I paid that debt off in like 3 months. That was wisdom. That's how it works. It doesn't have to be anything deep. And I hope you leave this, video encouraged that, hey, maybe you don't have the money that you have right now, or maybe you're not driving a car or living how you want to live, or maybe you can't provide for your family the way you want to. But guess what? All you need is wisdom. And you have a promise right here that says that if you would only ask for it, that God will give it to you. So I hope you got some value, man. Make sure that you, if you got some value, hit the like, subscribe button, man. Join me on this journey to financial independence. Tell all your friends about it. Let's get financially free together. And so I'll come with a new video each week, and I'm going to have 3 more steps for you, and a new video next week. So you all make sure you support the movement. So thank you for liking and subscribing, and make sure you take advantage of breaking out of the unfulfillment trap in the description in the notes section, and I'll have some other resources down there for you. So thank you so much, and I will see you next week.